Pastor Kori here at OrangeUMC Methodist Church. We are so excited for you to join us today for Table Talks. We have a great guest. We're excited to talk with her.
And I'm Adam Seed. I'm one of the pastors here at Orange. And today we are so thankful to have Savannah Wright with us. Savannah is a second-year Duke Divinity School student who is serving a field education placement here at Orange with us as our ministerial intern. And so we are so thankful to have Savannah with us today. Savannah, how about you introduce yourself? Tell us all a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, like Pastor Adam said, my name is Savannah Wright. I am originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and I went to undergraduate at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina, not too far from here. I studied English and religion in my undergrad, and I ended up here at Duke Divinity School. I'm in my second year doing currently all online classes. And looking forward to being ordained in the United Methodist Church, to be determined where I'll be ordained. But yeah, I'm excited to be serving at Orange for my field ed placement this year, especially after worshiping at Orange during my first year at school. I'm excited to get to be a part of the community in a different capacity. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
We are so excited to have you as part of our team throughout this academic year. Well, would you share a little bit? You said that your, ordination in the Methodist Church is kind of the path that you're on. Can you tell us about that call to ministry and your journey that led you to Duke Divinity and to being interviewed right now by us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say first, ministry was never in the books for me. Growing up, I always thought I would be a lawyer. I was very much following in my mother's footsteps for as long as I can remember. She practiced law for 15 years, went to law school after going to a small liberal arts college studying English. So those paths were pretty parallel for me, following in her footsteps. And then meanwhile, I suppose, in college, and a little bit after college as well, was involved in a lot of ministry, kind of as my side gig, I suppose you would say. I interned at my home church in Birmingham for the youth, as well as a pastoral intern one summer, and a couple of other ministry avenues with youth and leading Bible studies at school. And all of those things kind of came together to kind of nudge me more towards the path to ministry. But I was very hesitant. I was terrified of disappointing my parents because I had been telling them, I want to go to law school. And I thought they wanted me to be this successful lawyer in Birmingham and come back and make all this money and be a big name in the household and in my community. And so they were supportive after I told them I wanted to go to seminary and be a pastor, but prior, I didn't know what they would say. So I just kept on moving towards the path that I thought they wanted for me. And eventually got up the courage to tell them, hey, sorry, I'm going to go to seminary. And they were like, okay, that's fine. And I was like, okay, well, that would have been nice to know, prior, you guys were going to be supportive of me, but they've been wonderful, and I spent the last semesters of my senior year of college applying to seminaries and visiting seminaries, and finally ended up here at Duke. And I cannot imagine myself anywhere else, and can't imagine any other career path to be on right now.
That's great. I know a wise man once told me as I was answering the call to ministry, he said, if there's anything else in life that you can do and be happy, then you're not called to ministry. But God puts this restlessness within you that cannot be fulfilled until you respond. Mm-hmm. And so as you talked about not expecting to ever be on this path, I'm grateful that you listened and felt that restlessness and continue to follow it. And I thought it was great as you sounded like you were preparing to lay out a court case before your parents. You were prepared for a fight that wasn't even there.
Exactly. And it's interesting too, as I was discerning seminary or law school, I had a lot of conversations with clergy and lawyers in Birmingham while I was home during the summers. And I was surprised, and perhaps you'd be surprised too, how many in both career paths thought about doing the other first. How many lawyers wanted to be pastors, pastors wanted to be lawyers, and ended up choosing the path that they were on. So I was like, I guess it's comforting that I'm not going down the complete wrong path. These have some sort of connection in some way, shape, or form, but I'm very glad to not be sitting in Duke Law School right now. I'm happy, very happy to be at Duke Divinity School.
Well, there is a former pastor of Orange here that actually went on and taught at Campbell University Law School. And so it's just kind of funny because my wife took classes under him. And so when I became the pastor here at Orange and I saw Dr. Buzzard's picture on the wall, I thought, wait a minute. But you're right that there are many that are parallels. And in fact, when she was in law school, two of her law professors, in addition to him, had previously served as pastors or still in some capacity served as a pastor. So interesting paths. As you started at Duke last year, I know Pastor Kori and myself are both also graduates of Duke Divinity School. And I know when I started there, it felt like I was drinking water from a fire hydrant. It was so much information being poured in, and there was so much that I loved, and yet there was so much that was so challenging. What has been your experience with seminary and the coursework, and what have you loved and what has maybe been challenging?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll say first, I felt very prepared from my undergraduate coming into seminary and coming into grad school. A lot of my peers didn't have a background in college that prepared them for the amount of reading and writing that we had. And a lot of my peers in my cohort are 10 or 20 years out of college. So there's a lot of things that I guess could be a shock coming into graduate school after having been out of school for that long. I'll also say I loved my first year community-wise. I developed a great community within my cohort, but the classes were hard. They're no joke. I took the basics of church history, Old Testament, New Testament. And I took Greek, which was a mistake. I probably shouldn't have done that for a lot of reasons. But so first year was more, getting the ground under my feet, trying to get stable in an academic routine, as well as trying to find my place in the Divinity School community. And I'll say this year, even though my classes have been online, it's been a pretty stark contrast to last year. Just in that last year was very academic, very like, let's dive into the church fathers, let's exegete this text, et cetera, et cetera. And this year, so far, the classes that I'm taking have been a lot more practical about how do we take what we're learning academically and theologically and apply it to our real life ministry. So I'm taking a preaching class, which has been wonderful so far, and I'm taking a Methodism class, and then a missions and evangelism class. So I'm really excited to see how these classes and hopefully what I'll continue to take in school will actually help me practically when I'm in the ministry, full-time ministry setting.
Right, absolutely.
And I can speak firsthand that Savannah is an incredibly gifted student and an exceedingly gifted writer. We initially connected because you took a class that I was TAing with Bishop Willimon. So I got a front row seat to just how incredibly gifted you are. So we are very, very blessed to have you join us for this year. And I'm glad that it's feeling a little less intense this season. You're getting to put some flesh on those theology bones. Well, while you were already working with us a little bit last year, in between all of that work, I know it's a lot. We began lifting you up weekly back in the spring, and many people will recall the beginning of that, and they know your name because it's been on our prayer list. But would you share just a little bit of that part of the journey with us?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to give you the short of the long version. Basically, last January and early February, I developed a lot of pain in my neck, which then led to pain in my head. And my stepdad is a physician in Birmingham, so he's got a lot of medical connections there, but also medical connections around a lot of different places. So he called me in some appointments in the Durham area to get that pain checked out. Long story short, I was on medicine that eased the pain temporarily. And then when I returned home for COVID in mid-March, the pain came back about 2 or 3 weeks after I was home and didn't subside. So it didn't subside and it got worse. So thankfully my dad could call me in multiple appointments with doctors in Birmingham that were trying to help me figure out what was going on, and started having some vision problems. So the eye doctor called me in an MRI, and on the MRI they found a tumor the size of a grapefruit, which now I am kind of averse to grapefruits for that reason, in the front right portion of my brain. So I was rushed to immediate surgery to remove that. They didn't take it all out because the doctor was afraid of messing with the memory portion of my brain. So they left a little bit just so they wouldn't get close enough to do any damage to a different part of my brain. And then a couple weeks later, after recovering from that surgery, we got a call from Dr. Friedman at the Duke Cancer Center, thanks to the Divinity School, who name dropped me to the Friedman doctors and got me on their team. So they brought me back up to Duke and removed the rest of the tumor. So I had a second surgery to remove that and returned to Birmingham and spent a month doing chemo and radiation treatments. And now I'm back at Duke Hospital, enrolled in a clinical trial that hopefully will remove whatever is left in my brain. There's no portion of the tumor that can be seen, but there will always be microscopic portions of the tumor that we don't know what they'll do or when they'll do it. So we're hopeful right now that the clinical trials will do what they're supposed to. And I feel very lucky to have a great community at home that surrounded me in both recoveries, as well as a great community here when I was in my second surgeries and now in further treatment. I feel really taken care of. And I'm also very appreciative of the Church of Orange, especially lifting me up in prayer. I've felt those prayers for the last 4 or 5 months now, if not more. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Church, for the ways that you have prayed for me and supported me in a very, very unexpected and difficult time.
Well, we are grateful to be able to be alongside you on this journey and this time. And I know when we first received word of your surgery, we began to send out prayer alerts and including your name. And so we're so thankful now to be able to have you as a part of the team in an official capacity. You already had been contributing to the life of the church when we would do special devotional series on your own without prompting. You would sign up and write such a beautiful and eloquent devotional that had spoken to so many people already. And so now they're able to receive that gift as you've already been contributing to some of our Wednesday reflections. And we look forward to having the opportunity as you've been helping to assist in worship, and you'll be able to proclaim the word of God coming up in another month or so. And so we're excited about being able to share in that journey with you. So we're just grateful to have you alongside us. And please know that we continue to encourage, support, and uplift you through our prayers and all the ways that we want to be alongside you. So we're thankful.
Thank you. I'm so thankful as well to be walking alongside the church community in such a difficult time with the pandemic, as well as having you two pastors to be guided by in that as well.
Wow.
And I know it's often tradition when a field ed student comes to a church that you connect with individual congregation members, go out to coffee or for a meal. And that is such a strange shift to not have those opportunities because of the current place we find ourselves in with the pandemic. And so just to make sure that the folks who are watching this know that you would love to have a Zoom date with them or grab a cup of coffee out on the porch of the sanctuary, distanced and all, that you are very open to that and you would just really covet that opportunity. So.
Absolutely. And I have a church email now, so I suppose you can reach out to one of the pastors or Savannah at OUMCmail.com, and would love to schedule any kind of socially distant, whether that be virtual or in-person distant meetup or hangout, to get to know whoever might want to do that.
Well, not to put you on the spot too much, but one other thing that happened over the summer, it seems like you got some jewelry.
I certainly did get some jewelry. My friends make fun of me because typically I rest my hand like this when I'm on a video call. But I'm trying to be more professional in this setting. So yes, my fiance's name is Noah. We met, he's from Mississippi, so just across the Alabama state line from me. We met last year in our first year at Duke, and he so graciously, when he found out about my diagnosis, came to Birmingham and ended up spending the summer with my family, living in my parents' basement, because he wanted to be there to take care of me. And we got engaged July 17th and planned to be married in Birmingham on May 7th of 2021. So we are in the throes of online school, cancer treatments, and planning a wedding all at once. So it's fun, but it's a crazy ride.
Yeah, it's those kind of times that I know when I've gone through crazy times in life that I'm reminded that the Bible does tell us of a time that God made the sun and the moon stand still. And sometimes that has to become our prayers. And so I'm praying that God can make the sun and moon stand still as you go through all of that to get everything accomplished.
Thank you.
So congratulations. Welcome to the Orange family. And for anyone that is watching that would like to set up an opportunity to get to meet Savannah, we can help make that happen, but you can also reach out to her, as she said, to Savannah at OUMCmail.com. So Pastor Kori, any final thoughts or questions?
Well, I just fun questions. Savannah, what is your favorite Durham spot to hang out at?
That's a great question. I'm really disappointed because it's still closed for COVID, but Boxcar,
Yeah.
I guess it's downtown. I'm still not really familiar with the Durham landscape or layout. Neither is my Google map. It never tells me the right way to go. But yeah, Boxcar is one of the places that we would go pretty frequently last year to play the video games and eat some pizza. And then my favorite place to get coffee is Mad Hatter's on East Campus, right off Broad Street. And thank goodness they're doing outside socially distant seating, so I can still get that fix in, even though I can't play games and eat pizza. But yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to know Durham. It reminds me a lot of my hometown as well as my college town, and looking forward to spending, I guess, still a little less than 2 years here. But yeah, I've loved being here.
Great. Well, thank you so much for today, and we look forward to all that is in store in the months to come. Thank you for everybody that has watched today, and feel free to share this with your friends and others in the church so that they too might get to know a little bit more about Savannah and this journey we share together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.